we're going to roll right into some amazing training from Dr. Bob.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Robert Green. I'm known as Dr. Bob. I'm a board-certified internal medicine physician. It's been in practice 50 plus years. When I started out in 1972, I was one of the few physicians that was board certified that was a believer in proactive wellness. Most physicians, unfortunately, are still of the mindset that if it's not FDA approved, you don't want any part of it. And I think in part that is not only the fact that there's been no science behind it until this company came along, but there's been no science among the vitamins and minerals and products like this proactive wellness, just a lot of hearsay, but also because of their own fears that if something goes wrong, they're going to be liable, perhaps if there's any detriment. So I was using homeopathics and herbs and vitamins and minerals, meditation and Zen in 1972. And my patients, this was in Westchester County, New York, which is just north of New York City. My patients loved it, but all my colleagues thought I was a quack. But that's okay, because fast forward to today, there are more and more physicians and health professionals that are coming around to the fact that proactive wellness products work. I basically just want to talk about some of the products, the benefits of the products. Norbert did a great job in terms of presenting the products. But I want to just really tell you a few things that really make it critical. Number one, when I was introduced to this by Sally, I was skeptical because I have been approached over and over again by lots of these companies that make proactive wellness products and vitamins. And as I just said, there are no studies or very few studies. So when she presented this to me, I said, oh, all right, Sally, because of our relationship, I'll take a look at it, but I'm not so sure about this particular company. But anyway, then I started looking at the science, and I started reading about Dan Gubler, the CSO, the Chief Science Officer, PhD, brilliant guy, Caltech trained. Caltech is the Harvard of the West, for those of you that don't know that. Published, he's got 70 products that he's already brought to market. He's got 16 patents. I mean, he's the real deal. Just Google him, Dan Gubler, PhD, and you will see what I say. Anyway, I started looking at it, and I started reading about some of these studies, this basically epigenetics. So, wow, I'm going to get into that in more detail. And also about the cellular absorption and the superoxide story. And then I heard about the Scientific Advisory Board. Well, I got to tell you, these are not slouchy physicians who are on this Scientific Advisory Board. These are MD PhDs who are either in their own private practices or at university practices in places like Mayo or Cleveland Clinic or MD Anderson or Johns Hopkins. I mean, I went to Tufts Medical School, which is a very good school in Boston, but the credibility of physicians like this on our Scientific Advisory Board is huge. And the other thing that you got to understand is they volunteer. They volunteer. Now, why in the world would they do that? Well, because their heads, like my head was in 71 when I started, they are into proactive wellness in their own private practices, in their university settings. They're using products like this. They're believing it to begin with because they know that not everything is wrapped around giving someone a prescription. So if you can get someone on these products, basically, or introduce people to these products, and they have the kinds of results that you just heard from these wonderful panelists who got up here with their testimonials, that's a home run. What's my goal? My goal is to have 8.1 billion people. That's the number of people in the world hear about these products, because 90% of people who try it after 3 weeks a month, just like Patrick, is that right? Wow, I don't know what's in this stuff, but it's working. That's what 90% of the people have a positive reaction. The other 10%, I don't know, but I'd rather be on the 90% side than the 10% side in terms of just being excited about these products. So the products work, the science is there. I'm just going to touch on some points very quickly. The cellular absorption study, Dr. Dan basically has mastered a technique. He's got 12 different ways that he formulates each of these products that we have so that the absorption goes anywhere from 30% to 95%. Right now, the industry standard for all vitamin and supplement makers is 10%. 10%. That means you pee out or poop out 90% of what you put in your mouth. So when it says the food you eat is what you are what you eat, well, it's not. It's what you absorb. So if you're absorbing products 30 to 95% versus 10%, head and shoulders. And talk about value. Just think about all your flushing down the toilet with the other products. Here you keep it in your body. So that's really important. The other very exciting thing is this epigenetics study he did, and I just want to touch on briefly. Epigenetics basically is the ability of a product or a substance to influence a gene. We have 20,000 genes in our body. Dr. Dan took 8 genes, and why he selected these 8 genes, I don't know. I didn't ask him that. But what he did is he took these 8 genes and he subjected them or exposed them to all 6 of our internal products. And what he found was 4 of the 6 have great effect on the gene. They can either upregulate or turn on the gene, these 8 genes, or downregulate or turn off. Well, 2 of the genes I want to just talk about specifically. You've probably all heard of GLP-1. If you've heard of Ozempic or Wegovy or Zepbound or any of the other products that people are now injecting themselves with to lose weight, the reason they do that is because it turns on or upregulates GLP-1, which basically is the gene that helps us to A, lose weight and feel full, and B, also stabilizes your insulin utilization to improve your sugars. So it started out being approved by the FDA for control of diabetes, but then all of a sudden they realized, my God, all these people are losing weight. Now it's approved for weight loss as well. Well, our products, 2 of them, the Vitalite and the Revive, upregulate or stimulate GLP-1. Let me say that again. Our 2 products stimulate or upregulate GLP-1, the same thing that the injections do.
Without side effects.
What? No side effects at all. It's just to get healthy. That's incredible. The other gene that I want to mention, again, he took 8, and one of those 8 is IL-6. And IL-6, interleukin-6, is the gene that's associated with inflammation. So you've probably all heard about inflammation and how it's bad for the body. Well, just yesterday, Vivi and I went to see her retinal specialist because she's got very bad age-related macular degeneration, which is going to be something we all have to deal with as we get older. And the retinal specialist said, inflammation, you got to do anything you can do to get inflammation down, IL-6. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, we're ahead of the curve because our products reduce IL-6. That's incredible. So that's again, from a scientific point of view, that's real exciting and gets me turned on. The fact that the stuff is in the PDR, all 9 of our products now, the 6 internal and the 3 external are now in the PDR is huge because as you've heard, you can't buy your way in. It's just a third-party verification that we got quality products. So the science is there, and what's happening now is people are getting up in conferences like this with what's called anecdotal stories. And then I'll stop because Samson's going to come up and do some training. The FDA makes it very clear. Nutritional companies cannot make health claims. On all of our products, it's the little box that says, these products are not intended to diagnose, treat disease, things like that. You've seen all that, okay? But the FDA has no problem with people getting up like the people here and giving personal testimonials because personal testimonials are basically just that. It's not a health claim. It's just, this is what happened to me. So people go on Revive, and then, which Dr. Dan developed as something to help us get our joints back into equilibrium after you exercise or do something like gardening, or you're doing something like cleaning up the garage or moving or landscaping or doing, you get aches and pains and all over. You take some Revive and it basically gets you in a stable state. But people get up at conferences like this and say, God darn, I've got gout. Have you heard of gout?
Yeah.
Gout is a disease where your body makes too much uric acid and then it precipitates down into your joints, primarily your toes and your knees. And people get up, dentists and physicians get up and lay people get up and say, I've got gout. And my God, I'm on this Revive. And now the number of attacks I've got of this gout have halved or almost gone away. Or people get up and say, I've got bone on bone osteoarthritis in my knee, and my orthopedist is about to replace my knee. And darn, I'm on this Revive, and I've got half the pain I had before. Or my tension headaches are gone, or my migraines better, or my fibromyalgia, which I see a ton of in my practice, is much better. Individual people get up with stories like this, personal testimonies, 100% allowed by the FDA because they're not health claims from the company. Huge. This product that just came out, this neurocosmetic, Dr. Dan likes to get up and say, oh, well, when you look good, you feel good. Well, he's not drilling down on the exciting part. And here's the exciting part. When you use this massage, your skin gets stimulated, the nerves under your skin, where you put it, gets stimulated, triggers your brain, you release these neurotransmitters, 3 of them, dopamine, serotonin, DHEA. What's the big deal? Well, here's the big deal. Dopamine, and you can look this up because it's on ChatGPT and easy to understand English language, but dopamine is the neurotransmitter that causes us to have 3 M's. Number 1, movement. Number 2, mood. And number 3 is motivation. Movement. Well, you need dopamine in order to be fluid and move. You've all heard of Michael J. Fox. He's got a disease called Parkinson's. Parkinson's is a disease where not enough dopamine is being released by the substantial nigra, which is part of the brain that makes it. And as a result, he doesn't move very well. And now he's advanced, so he's moving too much. But with Parkinson's, you basically have a hesitant movement like that. We've got dopamine. Dopamine increases your fluidity. People move better. They feel better. That's the movement. The second is mood. You're brighter when you have more dopamine. You're more alert. And the other third M is motivation. You're more focused and you can get things more done. So it's huge benefit that this skin product, this neurocosmetic, first in the world and patent pending, that Dr. Dan developed, increases the amount of dopamine in your system. Second neurotransmitter, serotonin. You probably have heard that depressed people don't have enough serotonin. So physicians like me write for medications that increase the amount of serotonin in your brain. Well, if you have more serotonin, you're brighter. Your cognitive ability is better. You can think better. You sleep better. You're clearer. You just glow, as opposed to not having enough serotonin. So when Dr. Dan says you look better and you feel better, no, it's the serotonin that's doing it. And the third one is the DHEA. That's dihydroxyepindosterone. That's a mouthful. That's manufactured by the adrenal gland and has all kinds of wonderful benefits in our body. One of them is you're sharper in terms of cognition and your mood is better. So here you've got a product that you put on your skin, and lo and behold, it triggers your brain to release these 3 neurotransmitters. And I'm telling you, folks, as the medical community gets more and more aware of what's going on with this, you're going to see a huge influx. We already have over 1,000 physicians, nurses, chiropractors, dentists, whatever. And the thing is just growing like crazy. So again, I just want to encourage everybody to get on the products, try it, see for yourself what it does for you. I'm telling you, if you're in that 90% camp, you're going to love the fact that you've heard about 3.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. Give Dr. Bob a big hand.
He's about to introduce his health journey. So Dr. Bob, I want you to reintroduce yourself and talk about your health journey too.
Well, my health journey is amazing. I've got cancer,
Oh.
but I'm in remission. I'm gonna be 79 years old,
Wow.
and I've got more energy than most 40-year-olds. So I have a disease called multiple myeloma. You may have heard of this. This is a bone marrow cancer. Basically, my plasma cells turn on, and I'm making all this abnormal protein. There's no cure for this disease I have. And I don't know, 10 years ago, 50% of the people were dead in 1 year after the diagnosis. Well, I've been going for 10, 12 years. And I started treatment just a year and a half ago with this guy in LA. By the way, if any of you come across anybody in your family who's got multiple myeloma, must go see this guy or talk to this guy. His name is James Berenson. He's in LA. He's well trained. He's a hematologist oncologist. And here's the exciting thing. That's all he does is myeloma. He's got 200 patients and all they do is have myeloma. But his survival rate statistics, he just published them, 152 months. It's head and shoulders above every other center that treats myeloma, including Harvard and MD Anderson and Johns Hopkins and all the big centers. This guy's got great statistics. Plus, he's a caring physician, and I keep prospecting him about Green. And he says to me, Green, whatever you're taking, keep going. This is amazing. I walk in there. I go once a month for treatment. I'm on this immunotherapy with monoclonal antibodies, and it's not chemotherapy; it's immunotherapy. And he says to me, you're the most active, alive, alert, 79-year-old myeloma patient I've got. And I said, Doc, you got to get on these products. And he's getting closer, but, concepts die, that kind of thing. But anyway, I love to tell my story, and I just want to tell you that the future is beautiful. The future is beautiful. Oh, and one more thing. You heard Gilbert say if he was with Jeff Bezos, he wouldn't be here. I don't believe that. Let me tell you, Kim Wee, who is our 60-year-old #1 distributor, let me just tell you her story very quickly. She came from, and Sally, correct me if I get some of this wrong, she came from Hong Kong with her 2 or 3 sisters. She came at a young age, I don't know, 16, 14, whatever. She got a bachelor degree at UCLA, an MBA, I think, from UCLA, and then she went to work for one of the big banks, Citibank, Bank of America, whatever. Anyway, from 20 to 30, she busted her butt, and she went up the corporate ladder, and she was doing great, and then all of a sudden, boom, her whole division got laid off. So here at 30, she, like Gilbert said, I ain't never going to work for anybody else again because I'm not going to have this happen to me. She heard about network marketing. She didn't know anything about it. 30 years old. All of her friends started bragging on her. Oh, you drank the Kool-Aid. It's all one of these American illegal pyramid schemes. How could you be so stupid? This and that. She said, no. You do your thing. I'll do my thing. Fast forward 30 years. Only woman who's made over $100 million in network marketing in a number of different companies. And as you just heard Gilbert say, $1 million a month. Okay. But what happened was she and Lance and Tracy were in the back of the room and Samson and others started this 3 company. And basically what Kim said is, hey, I don't need any money. I'm wealthy beyond means. I want to build a legacy company for the next generation and the generation after that. Okay. So hopefully he's going to be making $100 million soon. Okay. But I don't think for a moment he's going to be sitting there on an island, by the way, wasting his time, because when you get to that level and you've got this kind of product and this kind of inspiration to give to people, you are blessed and you just keep going. I got to tell you, people say to me, why am I doing this? Well, let me tell you, I make a lot of money as a physician, but I'm killing myself. I've got what's called linear income. You probably all have it too, or most of you do. That means you exchange hours or time. I see patients. Every patient I see, I get paid. If there's a storm, if there's a patient doesn't show up, if the office closes, I don't make any money because I get paid per piece. You, if you're on a salary, you get paid per hour. If you don't show up, you don't make money. This is called leveraged income. It's the cleanest, sweetest, nicest way to make money because not only are you making it based on your efforts, but you're making it on Joy's efforts and Annie Mae's efforts and everybody else's efforts. And it's really sweet. I encourage you all to look at this.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. What an amazing share, right? So perfect segue. Dr. Bob mentioned, Kim mentioned a few other names that basically started this company. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you the next speakers we have. So they have like, I think 30 years of experience already in this industry, multi-seven-figure earners, and they're just amazing leaders in this company. But even more than that, after I got to know them, they're really a very down-to-earth couple who really cares for everyone in their team. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce Lance and Tracy.
I have to say, this is like the best Zoom meeting I've ever had. And I'm not teasing, it's really good. So thank you for all the speakers, Dr. Bob. You're in a Wellness Wednesday really fast. So it's a pleasure to be here. I have to tell you, 38 years ago, I was sitting in a room like this and I was dating this guy, right? And I was not interested. I have to tell you that because I was a senior at SDSU, I was going to be a teacher, just finishing up. I knew exactly where I was going to go. And someone next to me said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Oh, that's great for everybody, but it's not for me." And she said, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Oh, I have it all mapped out. I'm going to be a teacher." And she goes, "Okay, well, what else do you have mapped out?" "I'm going to marry this guy. I'm going to have kids, and I know exactly how my future is going to be." And she goes, "That's great." She goes, "This one question," and we're talking about mindset, right? Long term, short term. And she said to me, very important. She said, "What are you going to do when you have kids for the first 5 years?" And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, they don't go to school right away, honey." and are you going to check them into daycare? And I said, "Absolutely not." And then I thought, oh my gosh, maybe I should really think about having an additional income. And so that's really what opened my eyes because that one woman suggested, gosh, what would happen? And so I'm here to tell you 38 years later, we worked really hard for a couple of years. We were able to stay home when I had babies and my kids never knew me to work, except for I would go out, and I would meet people and we would dress up. And so I found out at probably age 10, I think our kids were around age 10, we have 4. They were laughing and I said, "What?" And they're like, "Our friends think you are so cool." And I'm like, "Why?" Because I'm a stay-at-home mom and Dad's a stay-at-home dad. And we're your filters. We love our children. And they said, "No, they think you're so cool because we told them you're spies." And they're like, "We know, Mom, we know that you're spies." And I'm like, "We're not spies." And they're like, "Yeah, you dress up and then you just go meet people." You're than spies, honey. And so it's so fun that we've had this lifestyle. So I just encourage you, wherever you're at, if you don't think this is for you, you have to really think about long term. And it's funny because I was just in San Diego and I went and had a massage. And we've known this guy for a long time. His name's John, and he's great. And we were really approaching him saying, "Come on, you gotta join us. This is like a perfect company for you. You're in health and wellness." And he's like, "No, it's not for me, but good for you, Okay. And I got a couple weeks ago, I got a call and he's like, "What did you do? You cast a spell on me." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "I threw my back out and I haven't been able to work." And I'm like, "I told you, we got to get you a supplemental income." And I have to tell you today, I carry my products always around with me, but I introduced this product to him. And I said, you have to use this product. And what he does now is he is building a business. And he's increased his massages by $5 a massage. And they get a free a free eternal. He rips it and he rips and sips, right? they sip this Eternal and he tells them, you need to take this because it reduces inflammation. Because when I'm giving you a massage, you're gonna have inflammation and this will reduce it, and it's wonderful, he keeps it full. And they're coming back and he's got so many customers in 2 weeks, it's been incredible. But I just encourage you, have these products around you. What Dr. Bob said, and it's true, I've never worked with a company that is so amazing, that has your back for leadership, for community, for your nutrition. It just covers all of the bases and you can be cooler than spies, right?
Did you know you were gonna get married to her?
I did.
Oh.
I realized really quick, I couldn't afford to run my salary, so I had to go do something else. No, it is funny, because I actually, yeah, and I won't go into the story, but, just real quick, how many here are actually looking at this for the first time? I see some hands, okay, great. How many of you are actually involved in the business or brand ambassador? That would be good. Just so, those of you that look at this for the first time, take a serious look, get with the person invited you, get into the details. I promise you, the more you look, the more you're gonna like what you see. We absolutely love this industry. We saw it, like Tracy said a bunch of years ago. I was at the point where I was living in Southern California. I promised Tracy that we had this incredible lifestyle, and then she said, I do. And I went broke. And we couldn't, we lived in a little 600 square foot house that was smaller than this room. I mean, literally, you could flush the toilet, close the fridge, and answer the front door without moving. I mean, it was that small. And she had a car that wouldn't start. I had a car that wouldn't stop. And we were broke. And I came home one day and Tracy was crying because we were broke. And so I said I had to do something else. And I realized I had to do something else. And so I started to look, and I looked at all the traditional stuff. That didn't really work out. And then somebody introduced me this idea, and I was looking for something that would allow me to work when I wanted to work and allow me to be able to, something that had a high reward, low risk, something I could do in my spare time, something that I could do. I didn't want to be the first one to start something. I was hoping to find maybe a franchise, something somebody had done before that can help me along the way. And then I saw this, and I'm going to tell you real quick, if you're brand new looking at this wasn't what I was looking for, but it had all the earmarks of what it was I was looking for. And so we made a decision to get in. And that was a few $100. We said, okay, let's do this thing. But how many of you would agree that there's a difference between getting in and being all in?
Oh.
Okay, how many ever bought a gym membership and never went? How many ever done a diet and didn't lose weight? I asked me the other day, so well, it's not everybody who gets involved in your industry makes it. I'm like, there's not anybody who makes it in anything. I mean, I was reading this this morning from my friend Todd Falcone. He put a post up. He said 75% of realtors, I mean, real estate's next door.
Yeah.
75% of them quit the first year, and 87% of all realtors quit within 5 years. Does that mean real estate's horrible? Okay, what's the difference between the 15% that stayed and the 85% that quit?
Great.
The 50% were all in, and the 85% had a real estate license.
Yeah.
You look at the stock market. 90% quit within the first 5 years. Okay, that means 10% of people that start become a stockbroker make it after 5 years. What did they do that the other ones didn't do? They were in, the other ones were just signed up. And I'm going to tell you this, if you're a brand ambassador here, first of all, congratulations. And some of you may just want to get in and try the products, and they're life changing. Okay, if that's all you want to do, we have tens of thousands of people that joined 3 in the last, not just under 2 years, and they're feeling the health. And it was great hearing the testimonials from all of you. I appreciate you sharing those. But I'm going to encourage you guys to not just be signed up brand ambassador. I'm going to encourage you guys to get in. For us, we were signed up for probably a year. We had a chance to speak on Tuesday, and I won't go over the whole thing again, but we got in and we kind of went through the motions. We showed the plan to a lot of people. I saw people kind of like with the money on their head, and if I could get them in, then I could get my goals. I could then do what I wanted to do. I was selfish in my motives. I had a big dream because I was broke, and my credit cards companies kept calling me all the time, so that motivated me. And after a year into it, I went through enough struggles where we hit a point where I said, we either got to do this or not. And I don't know where you're at in your journey if you're a brand ambassador here, but I'll tell you this, that most people, there's 4 questions I ask. First question I ask myself, I said, if I'm really going to do this, does this industry work? And that's a fair question. That's a fair question to ask. I mean, a lot of people look and, so I went through that and I looked and I said, okay, well, I met someone like Samson, who's made millions of dollars over the years. I met Kimby's and I said, okay, well, it works. Now, is everyone to make it? No, they're not all going to make it, because just like going to the gym,
5 people buy an exercise bike, 1 person loses weight, the other 4 gain weight. What's wrong with the bike? Folks, it's not the bike, okay? Our industry does billions of dollars a year. There's thousands of companies in this space. We happen to be the best. And there's reasons why I believe that. But this industry actually works if you work it, but you've got to go spend the time, you've got to do it. And the problem is most people are told when to go to work, when to get up, when to go on break, when to go to lunch, when to go home, if they go on vacation or not, how much they're going to get paid. Most people are told what to do their whole entire lives. And they really don't make it. I mean, the average person really makes 5 or 6 major decisions their entire lifetime. Really, once they get going. The average person doesn't read a book once they're out of high school. You think about those odds. And so this is going to take a little different approach. You're going to have to look and say, you know, this goal, and I'll just tell you this, the goal in our industry isn't to go get other people to do what you want to do. The goal is to go do what you need to do. And how many people out there want to look better or feel better or make more money?
Everybody.
Is there anyone like that in San Francisco? Any of them. Okay. Then what our job is to go tell them. And just let them know that here's a way where you can look better, you can feel better, and make more money. And now that massage, I know that that's dopamine, I guess they don't have to work out anymore. They can just put that stuff on.
Shower.
If only it was so easy. The second question I asked is if it does work, would I like it? Is it something I like to do the rest of my life? Zig Ziglar said you're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. And I looked at the 5 people I was hanging around at the time, and they were all broke and miserable and complained a lot. And I thought, you know, I think I'd like it. I think I'd like it from a mental standpoint to get around some people that are goal oriented. It's like to help. I'd like to be around the Dr. Bobs and the Nilberts and the Sampson, you know, the rest of you that spoke. I would like to have more time if I could. I mean, what would it be like? I remember thinking to myself, what would it be like if you know, Tracy wants to stay home and raise the kids? That's what she wanted to do. And she was actually home and we didn't have kids yet. I thought, well, I'd like to stay home and raise the kids. And there was a time in our career where we were both home and no kids, but when you're both home and no kids, the kids come. And quit. What? I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing. I got the back door. Don't make a fire. I looked at the people who were successful. I looked at the lives they had, and they had a life of impact. And I'm gonna tell you this: it took us about 5 years to become financially free. We've been free. The last time I got a W-2 was 32 years ago, 31 years ago. But once you pass financial freedom, you hit a point of financial impact. And that's what a difference you can make in the lives of other people. And I tell people all the time, I feel like we practice our whole lives to hit home runs. We know how to hit them. And it's the World Series, we're in it. And so I looked at all of those factors. And I thought, you know what, I would like this thing. Now, the next question I asked, which is the big one, was, can I do it? And I'll tell you the funniest thing about it. This one broke for me. I went to a seminar, and some dude got up and got across stage, and he couldn't say his name. He forgot where he lived. And the dude was making $100,000 a year. He just hit a certain rank with the company, the platform I was with. And I said, I don't think I'm better than other people, but I'm smarter than that guy. And I failed my speech class, and so I thought I don't necessarily like to talk to people. It's ironic because I failed my speech class, and 6 years later I was speaking in the Georgia Dome at 80,000, 7,000 people. I believe that no Les Brown spoke, and Barbara Mandrell sang, and then Trace and I spoke after that. But that was a 5-year time frame, but I didn't think I could do it. And you had a mentor say, no, you really could do it, but you can change, you can grow. And here's some books, and here's some, some podcast lists, and here's some things that'll actually help you grow. And I'm telling you this, I have had a lot of people become successful. We've personally helped about 50, 60 people become multimillionaires in this space. And some of them were very sharp before, and they just took to what they were good at, like Dr. Bob, and parlayed it into a career that they've crushed it over here. But my favorite ones were the ones that couldn't do it. We did a meeting in San Diego, Chula Vista, probably 27 years ago. A bunch of professionals in the room, and there was one guy, a Spanish guy. He had plaster all over his chest. He had a hat on backwards, couldn't speak English very well. And he came up to me after I finished the meeting and stood right in front of me and talked to me for 5 minutes. Everybody peeled out. And I looked and I said, God, we just wasted the night because all the good people left. And I didn't mean that bad. I liked the guy, but he was a plasterer and was driving a truck that, that I think we had to jump it out of the driveway or something. That dude put 150,000 people on this team over the next couple of years, and created a bunch of multimillionaires. And even to this day, I mean, he's got an incredible team. We're still great friends. But I love those stories, and I'm telling you this: if I've seen people, whatever it is you're struggling through or going through, I could introduce you to somebody who went through what you're going through, made it anyway. And the last question I looked at was, if I do this, will it be worth it? And hard to put into words what 35 years of freedom in this industry has meant to us. We don't have to set the alarm clock. Although I did have to set it yesterday to get on the flight to get up here. Well, each day you're able to wake up and kind of choose what you want to do. You get to pick, what you want to do, when you want to do it. You can pick who you want to work with. It used to be I'd look at somebody if they were to say yes, I get in. Now it's like, hey, do we want to go spend the rest? Let's go build something together. And so I love that part of it. I'd love to be able to travel the world. I love the trips. I love the income that comes along with it. How many in here think that you would be? How many have ever heard that money doesn't buy happiness?
Oh.
Okay. How many would agree that broke doesn't make you happy either? And what I suggest to people is you go out and make some money, and if you don't like it, you can always go back. But for us in this space, I will tell you, it's not going to be easy. It's going to take effort. It's going to take time. We worked really hard. We worked and we worked and we worked and we worked and we got paid. And our first check was $5.72. I actually put it on a wall and I framed it, but I still broke it. Took it back a couple weeks later. And next time I worked and I worked and I worked and I worked and I got paid. The next one I think it was $10. I worked and I got paid. And then I worked and got paid, and then I worked and got paid, and I worked and paid and worked and paid, and then worked and got paid, and then got paid and paid, and then I worked and got paid and paid and paid. And ultimately, about 5 years into it, the payments kept coming. And I remember how long ago did your dad pass, Grace? 20 years ago? 20 years ago, we were 15 years into our career. We were at about a 7-figure income at the time, and had a great team. We were doing events and arenas and had some great leaders stepping up. And Tracy's dad got cancer. And we went through a year, if any of you have ever gone through that, it was a tough year for us. And I didn't go out and do a lot of these. I did some of the bigger events, and we spoke in some of the larger conventions. But we took a year off to really go spend time with their dad, and we were able to be there when he passed. And for the whole year, we had as good of a quality of life as we could. And I can tell you what happened. Our business doubled that year. Our income jumped $700,000 that year. While I was gone. I mean, the biggest growth we ever had is when I left, and I thought, gotta give me some self-esteem issues there for a minute. But what happened is a lot of the leaders that I had were waiting for me, and when we stepped aside, they all stepped up. And I remember thinking to myself, how cool is that to be able to have a business allow you to do that? And for us, a couple of years ago, just to get to this point, we were at a point in a platform with Samson and Kim and a few other folks, and I mean, we'd averaged $1 million a year for 25-something years. We were blessed financially. We were blessed with a lot of great leaders to work with. And but the company that we were with, I love our industry when it's done right. Like any other industry, there's great dentists and there's horrible dentists. There's great, attorneys, there's horrible attorneys. There's good and bad in everything. And I love our industry when it's done right. But I was with a platform where I was on the board of directors and looking at some of the executives and owners, and I just couldn't be there anymore. I said, it just doesn't align with my values and my morals. And so we backed off a little bit. And then in 2022, I got COVID and I had a heart attack. I mean, kind of within 3 days. And thankfully, I had a heart attack in hospital. So if you're going to have a heart attack, that's a good place to have it. I was sitting in a hotel or in a room, and I thought they were just checking me out. And I heard code blue, room 357. I look at my room. I'm like, uh-oh. I don't know what code blue is, but I don't think that's good. And a few minutes later, I watched my heartbeat on the TV monitors. They did a couple of stents and got me worked out. But I realized at that point, you know what? This is the World Series. We can hit home runs. So what we have to do is we have to find a company. And for me, we prayed about it. Said we just got to find the right people. And so we started in 2022. Went through a bunch of different companies. And honestly, a lot of them were willing to give us some. I mean, I'm sure you had a lot of them thrown. For us, they were. Hey, we'll give you part of the company. We'll give you, $1 million a year. We'll give you this. We'll give you that. None of them felt right. All of them felt like the Titanic, and they're trying to sell me the lawn chairs. I don't want to do that. And that journey led us to Samson and led us to Kim, which led us to Daniel, which led us to 3. And I will tell you that if you ever want to be at the right place at the right time at one time in life, this is it. I mean, this is really, this is it. Now, just to wrap this up, maybe some of you in here are exactly where you want to be in life and everything's going great. You got your goals, you're doing, I mean, you got to figure out 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. If you're going on that pathway and it doesn't involve this, take these products so you live longer, you can actually achieve those. But I'm cheering for you. I like seeing people win, whether it's here, whatever it is they're doing. I like people to see people winning in life. But if you're not, we had a neat hotel room up here today, and I'm watching the freeway at 5 o'clock last night before we went out and had dinner. If you were out there at that freeway at 5 o'clock, you probably weren't real happy because they didn't look real. They weren't moving very fast out there. And if you go start Monday and it's like, oh God, it's Monday, and then it's like, oh, okay, thank God it's Friday. And then if you're going through that routine, you're not happy where you're at. You got 3 choices really. One choice is just keep going and live that. Okay, and most people do that. Most people go down that pathway and they just keep doing what they're doing and they hate it. And, but man, that's how life half lived. And that nobody wants to do that. Nobody chooses to do that. But eventually not doing something about it is their choice. And so they do choose to do it. The second thing you can do is you can start a new career. 75% of these realtors are going to start something new next year. And that's you can do that. You can take the time and the effort. But for me, I didn't want to quit my job. I didn't want to give up what I had to do it. Or you can look at this and say, what if I spent the next couple of years and took these products and got healthier, put this stuff in my face so I can look better. What if I could actually make some money? And I'm going to tell you, you're not going to get rich real quick. You're going to go do a bunch of work and you're going to get a small check. And eventually, at the beginning, you do a lot more work than you get paid for. At the end, you get a lot more money than you actually do in work. I mean, I got started off and I was probably making a nickel an hour. I think we figured the last bunch of years about $5,000 an hour with a microphone in my hand is what we make today. And so you can stay where you're at, you can start something new, or you can come join this thing. Because I promise you this, of all the companies I've worked with, this has got all the secret sauce. This has got all the stuff coming together. It's got the right ownership. It's got the right people. It's got the right products. It's got the right science. And it's got the right vision. We got a CEO that's 40-something years old. He has $1 billion dream. And we're going to help him get it there.
Wow, that was really powerful. That was Tracy. I gotta tell you, so we've become good friends, and I do follow them on Facebook, and I every day I watch out for Lance's, motivational posts every day. Really amazing.